It's like somebody trying to charge you for the air you breathe. So the oil companies will have to change their marketing procedures.
How can they be involved in this?
What, the oil companies?
Yes.
Right now we're burning oil in order to get energy, and of course they're polluting the planet.
Right.
We should be using those oil products to make fertile lands, or arid lands fertile again.
And other products,
and
true.
There's things where there'll always be need for petroleum products. They'll have to change their marketing techniques. As far as, the biggest industry, I guess, in the country is the utilities. If you can make a free energy device for your home, you can certainly make a big one for the utilities, so they won't be polluting the air as they provide electricity. The transitional changes certainly will probably be a little tough on some people as we go into this new age of energy, but we have to remember that progress goes on. There was as we've talked about on this show before, Marie, there was a great industrialist whose efforts and the output of his corporation really caused America to be. Without him and his thing, well, no, it wasn't Ford.
No?
We wouldn't have had the West. But one day, Mr. Studebaker had to stop making wagons and start making cars. And so we're into that. We can't hang on to the old because there's a great economic structure built upon the old.
How can this be, though? How can we make this change?
Just put it on the market?
It doesn't.
Is it going to be on the market? How soon?
It's not a step input. For example, if you produced right now, for example, suppose you had available a real cheap motor. Let's say by cheap I mean something that would be $5,000.
Yeah.
That would power your home. Let's take that as a given. Let's say you could do that. $5,000 or $7,000 somewhere in there. Looks like about the kind of price that you could at least start delivering the first ones for. There are lots of people that are not going to be able to afford $7,000 cash. And it's going to take a long time to actually power a significant number of homes. But eventually, after a period of, 2-3 years, whatever, a significant number of homes will be powered by these, but still a significant number of people will still be using the power company. Only now, there'll be assemblies of units in the power companies furnishing the power at maintenance cost of the system plus a fair profit. It won't be at all the kind of inflated prices we're paying for energy right now, and you won't put the power companies out of business.
Well,
it will certainly redirect a lot of things. Transportation will get cheaper, so more people will travel. A lot of people would fly right now a lot more if they could afford to fly. People fly as little as they do because the price is too high, and the seats are uncomfortable and a whole bunch of other things. But what I mean is the system adjusts, and as everybody's standard would go up is what really would happen. You wouldn't have wholesale losses of people and the standards stay the same. What really would happen is the standard of living of everybody would go on up gradually year after year as this market slowly got filled. And it would take 20 years. If you could go into production day and night with huge factories cranking out, it'd take 20 years before you could even fill the backlog. And you wouldn't have a wholesale instantaneous change. You would have a gradual shift in what people do and what kind of markets they have, but yet not a catastrophic change.
Well, you got to remember also, Marie, that they first started electrifying the United States around the turn of the century after Mr. Tesla gave us the alternating current.
True.
But by World War II, only 22% of the country was electrified. And it took World War II to get the whole country electrified. So it took a long time.
How soon could a device like this be installed in my home, say?
We hope within a year.
After the date that somebody
within a year?
Is enough to go ahead and do the final development of the production engineered product.
Now, would this be able to heat the water, heat the house, keep all the appliances running?
That's correct.
Everything and then some.
We're talking about a 15 to 20 kW unit.
Well, it sounds utopian to me because I just got my electric bill today, Marie. It was $456.
I've had to sit down before I opened some of mine.
And I used less electricity than I did a year ago. That's also on the bill.
Yes.
And I've never seen such a high electric bill. And I have a small house. I mean, I don't live in any big mansion.
Yeah.
It's a standard little old cracked house out in the valley. That's $225 a month for electricity.
It's too much.
Well, it's not necessary, and so those things are going to be done. One other thing that should be brought to your attention, and we've discussed this with the League of Public Utilities, they look upon it as a boon, because as these devices start getting used in the homes, the first thing that utilities are going to see is a lessening of their demand curve. which means that they're not going to have to go out there quite as quickly, or if all, and go through this capital formation, which is very, very expensive to build these multi-billion-dollar nuclear facilities. And that will save the stockholders a great deal of money as well as all of us. So there is really nothing but pluses and bonuses in there.
Well, what is standing in our way?
Development money?
Development money. How much would it take?
Billions.
Billions? Well, we're spending billions everywhere else.
To put the first product on the market, production engineered with the smallest team you could get to do it, you're talking about a minimum of about $3 million. Any way you price it out, that's the smallest way you could do it. When you spend the money to do it, that's what it comes out at. A more reasonable figure, to try to figure that you don't hit everything exactly the first time you do it, that you do have some shifting around, which always occurs in research. You never have everything go perfect in research. You got to do some fiddling in research. To take a more reasonable thing into account, you need $5 to $7 million. That's what you need. And there's about 4 or 5 different inventors in the country today that, given that kind of money, could deliver or have a very high probability of delivering within 1 year a production-engineered product that would power the average home.
And you're talking about the development of a prototype and not one that would be marketable.
No, I'm talking about doing the full production engineering. It can be done in a year if you really get after it. If you want to play real safe on that, give it 18 months. Give it another 6 months, and it's ready to go into production at that time. So if you want to play conservative, and that's a good thing to do with something like this, say 18 months and $7 million, and you can do it.
But to answer your question, Marie, the economy will be far better off, because it always is better off when you've got more money in your pocket.
Have you approached any of the congressmen, the senators on this?
Yes, indeed.
And are they intelligent enough to see the good in it?
No, they're not.
I was afraid of that.
The problem, Marie, is...
They can't see the forest through the trees.
The problem we're talking about is insidious. Almost the entire orthodox scientific community immediately fires out the idea you cannot violate conservation of energy. And you cannot violate conservation of energy as long as you don't do what we're saying, curve space-time locally.